Welcome to From the VC's Bookshelf, a podcast from TBR, the College System of Tennessee, the state's largest higher education system. In this series, we examine how we might re-envision the work we do and how we work together as we move into a post-pandemic world. Please join our host, Dr. Heidi Lemming, Vice Chancellor for Student Success, as she leads a live discussion with industry experts and leaders throughout our system.
All right, we're ready to get started with our podcast series interviewing our SOAR finalists for 2023. The Statewide Outstanding Achievement Awards and Recognition, or SOAR celebration, recognizes individuals who have been nominated by their institutions as being among the best of the best in the categories of faculty, staff, and students. This year's finalists went through an initial interview process where they were selected as a regional winner that then moved on to our final statewide competition. In this podcast series, I'll be showcasing the regional award winners in a short interview so that listeners can learn more about the faculty, staff, and student finalists from across the TBR system. It's my hope that by learning more about the regional finalists, listeners will get a sense of the amazing stories and backgrounds of the individuals who work and learn at our institutions. Okay, so today, for this podcast series, I'm really excited to interview our staff finalists. And you all, this is the first time that you've had a chance to sit in a room together and see who your competitors are from the TCATs and in the region. So what I'd like to do is just take a few minutes to have you share, 2-3 minutes, a little bit about yourself, your name, your institution, anything else you feel people might be interested in wanting to know. And I think about the listeners in this response too, right? So it's not just TBR folks that listen to our podcast, but just the general public. So we'll get started, and we'll start with Shasta, and you can just share a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Lemming. It's great to be here today. So my name is Shasta Carroll, and I'm from Hohenwald, Tennessee, where I work at TCAT Hohenwald. I've been there for the last 2 years. Prior to that, I lived in West Africa, where I worked as a missionary. Lived there for 8 years, and prior to that, I worked for the Department of Children's Services for about 8 years. So that's just a little bit about me. It's great to be here. I think it's a privilege to be here and just be a finalist for the SOAR Awards.
Great. Well, congratulations to you.
Thank you.
Yes,
Sayde.
so I'm Sayde Potts. I am from TCAT Crump. I'm here representing TCAT Crump. I'm the agricultural programs coordinator there. I'm actually a transplant from Mississippi, so I've been here for about going on 3 years. They say the grass isn't always greener. I said, no, the grass is so green. It's fescue and Bermuda over here, So I enjoy being over here. Prior to this, I worked for the Department of Agriculture in Mississippi. My background is in agriculture. I'm a ninth generation farmer. It's a cool fact. And I focus on beef cattle production. So I still farm and get to do that every day on the side for fun and as a hobby. So getting to incorporate two things that I love: education, agriculture education, technical education, and then of course agriculture as a whole. Is a pretty unique thing in this job that I get to experience. But I'm so excited to be here. I think it's such a privilege and an honor, and it's very humbling too.
Great. Well, congratulations to you as well.
Thank you.
Kim.
Hi there.
Hi.
Nice to meet you.
Nice
It's
to meet
good
you
to
too.
put a face with a name finally.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you. I'm very humbled as well to be here. My name is Kimberly Kidd. I am from Scott County, which is about 25 minutes from the Kentucky state line. I am in the county where Mr. Senator Howard Baker was born and raised.
Great.
I work at the TCAT in Oneida, Huntsville. I've been there for 23 years. I am in student services where I do admissions and record leave workers. I'm also a school board member for the 4th District. I've been there 9 years trying to help the kids, the staff, everyone that's employed there. Also, my husband is a minister, so we do a lot of work at homes, hospitals, funeral homes. We do a lot of missionary work for a lot of missionaries. So it's all about helping people. That's all that's in mind, helping people.
Great. Well, congratulations to you as well.
Thank you.
I think we always have, again, the cream of the crop here. It's a very difficult decision that the judges have as we move through this process, because everyone that's put forward is just really excellent. So just again, congratulations to all three of you for making it this far. So, one of the questions that I think our listeners would be really interested in hearing is probably a question that you were asked also for this competition is tell us a little bit about why you like working at a TCAT. Describe what you do on campus and a little bit about the institution. So not everyone knows what differences there are between like a technical college and a community college, for example. So maybe kind of describe that a little bit. And we don't have to go in a particular order if there's somebody that really like to jump out there and answer that question first.
Well, the reason I like working at TCAT, I'm being able to help someone. You know, there's times that some of them give up, and we can talk with them and encourage them. And if it's not the field that they think they need to be in, we can switch that field and get them to move on and be successful at it. And the difference in the college and the TCAT is it's hourly. You know, they come Monday through Friday. They come 6 hours a day. That's 30 hours a week. And they don't do the electives. They just study that class they're in. You know, if they're in automotive, they study only automotive. That's the difference.
Mm-hmm. Great.
I think supporting students in my role and being able to, what I do on a daily basis is something that I always thought I would be able, to do in a different field, but never thought I would get to incorporate, agriculture into it. So in my role, the way that I kind of get to support students is I get to see them all the way through elementary school, in my engagement with them there, middle school, all the way to high school, and to the TCATs, and past that in graduation, I get to kind of follow them through in my role as agricultural programs coordinator. I get to do a lot of recruitment. That is so fun to see somebody light up, their eyes light up when they see the opportunities and hear about the opportunities that are out there for them that they didn't even know were out there. So I think that's something it makes every day going into work worth it, is seeing their success. And it's a cool thing because you see them succeed so quick. You see the product of your toil so quick. They start there and then they finish there, and you get to see them instantly go into the workforce. And I feel like that's not always something you see in, with a four-year institution, and you don't get to follow them through. And I know that the, TCATs and community colleges and the TBR, we do a good job in making sure that we follow our students all the way through.
Right. Great.
So I serve as a student services coordinator where I work. And for me, I see students at various stages. I see students when they're struggling, and I see students when they're succeeding. Mm-hmm. And for me, it's a privilege. I get to see students sometimes at their lowest, and then I get to see them at their highest.
Right.
So that, to me, is why I like working where I work. My life, I think, has been a life of serving others, whether it was at DCS, whether it was in West Africa, and now at TCAT. And so for me, it's still about serving our students, whether it's seeing them get the financial aid that they need, whether it's getting the mental health that they need. It's all about serving our students. And so that's why I like working where I work right now. It's about seeing our students succeed. For me, education is key. Education opened my eyes to the things that I could do in life. And so I think that working at TCAT opens the eyes to our students at what they can do. And TCAT is different. Our students don't go in taking English 101 or Math 101. They directly go into welding, and they see, I can get a job making, $80,000 a year. And so that is why TCAT is different. It does open doors to success. I think not all of our community members understand that. And so we work together with our, local industry members, our local school board members, our local teachers to help them see how we can help our students succeed. And so that, to me, is why I enjoy working where I work.
Yeah. So it's really about the partnership, and I think that is really important. That's why we do our awards ceremony even at the state level, is to raise awareness about not only the fantastic staff that we have, like the three of you, but also the work that we're doing with students every day, and in what we're here for, which is really about not just supporting the students, but workforce development too, right? And the opportunities that higher education provides to all individuals and really can be life-changing. So, you've talked about this already a little bit about how you're supporting students in your role, but maybe you could answer the question about the types of things you do that really provide a sense of purpose and value to the work that you do. You've started to go there. I appreciate that, particularly Shasta's response, but maybe think through that a little bit more. We've had some other podcast series where we challenged our staff to think about kind of life's purpose and what we're here to do. So any thoughts, reflections on that, Kim or Sayde?
I feel like in this role that each of us have, all three of us have different roles, but there's a sense of servanthood that we get to live out every day, serving the community, serving the workforce, serving our students, serving other instructors. I feel like we get to kind of have our hand in everything that they do, the students do, as far as going into the workforce. So, and as far as the workforce, we get to bridge that gap between them and us and the students that are out there that are looking for a job and have the skills. So, and the ones that don't know about it, I feel like we get to be that vessel. And that's something that's unique to Tennessee, I will say. Coming from Mississippi, I can say that we don't have trade schools. So students don't get the same opportunities that they do here in Tennessee. And it's so unique, and we get to serve. And I think that is why I can tell from talking to each and hearing from each of my colleagues here that that's really why we do what we do, is the servanthood aspect of it. And it kind of fills our cup.
Yeah.
The purpose for me that I get, satisfaction. I'll give you an example.
Sure.
We had one girl that took practical nursing. She had 7 daughters. During her practical nursing education, she went through a divorce, so she was a single parent. And during that time, her home burnt, and she lost everything she had. As you know, practical nursing is not easy.
Right.
It's test. They'll come in carrying their books, and the next week it's with a roly-poly, because there's so many. Yeah. And she thought about quitting. But with her parents' background and their, confidence, we're going to help you. We'll help you with the kids. You can move in with us. And all the faculty at TCAT Oneida talked and persuaded, and we got programs, everything we could to help her. And she finished. She went on. She works at a hospital now. Her kids are grown. She has grandchildren. She remarried, and she's doing wonderful.
Yeah.
That's what makes you feel so good about it when you see, and there's a lot of them like that.
Sure, yeah.
She didn't let those roadblocks get in her way.
Right.
She went on.
Yeah. Well, that's, I always say working in student affairs work, it is about the individual student. All of us have some kind of trauma or other incident that we're working through from our past, and what we do is provide that wraparound support for that student. It's very individualized. It takes a lot of time to do that. And so I'm appreciative of the fact that the three of you have a heart for that work, because sometimes we can also internalize some of those issues, and that can be stressful for you as a professional staff member, I'm sure, too. So, but I think it is a calling of sorts. If you were able to speak to an economic development group, what would you tell them about how they could get involved to kind of grow their own workforce? So you've talked about that a little bit, about that partnership piece. I'd like to dig in more deeply with that. And maybe, Shasta, you could start.
Yeah, I think that especially with the growth of the dual enrollment grant, we're seeing more and more students in high school grow in their involvement in TCATs. So for me, it's bringing in those pieces together, the local school systems and our local industry. And so it's bringing those pieces together. It's building those relationships between the local high schools, the TCATs, and industry. It's working together with industry to see what their needs are and how we can meet those. So, for example, we just had a meeting recently where we brought industry together and our local high school partners to see how we can mesh better together. So it's bringing in the industry partners to say, what are your needs? How can we better fit those? And bringing the high schools together, too, to say, okay, here's what we have to offer. Now, what are your needs? And this is how we can meet those.
Right.
So it's all about partnership. It's all about relationships. And this is what we have to offer. And this is what we're producing. And this is how well we can produce it as well.
Yeah. It's an exercise in being a really good listener on some level, right?
Yes.
Yeah. What about Sayde, Kim?
Oh, okay. Like she said, partnership is very important. Because helping each other. If there's some program that we do not have and we have a company or organization that asks us about it, our director will check in on seeing if we can get that program started because it would help them. Example, our business administrator went to one of the organizations in our county a few weeks ago, and the employees couldn't come to our school, so she went to them. Mm-hmm. And she done training on Excel and PowerPoint for 2 weeks, and that helped them on their job.
Right.
That's the way we learn to help them, and then they talk to us. It's the partnership, just being able to talk with them and know what we need to do.
Yeah.
I think also letting them know it's a win-win. Nobody loses in that situation is important. And who's going to do that better than us as the TCATs, because we see both wins on either side of the board. We see it on the student side. We see it in the community and in the workforce. And letting them know what our mission is something that we need to, I think, do a better job of. And we've done a pretty good job at is letting them know that we're the premier leaders of workforce development, and we're going to continue to be. And we're there for them. And being able to get in the community in whatever aspect that is, whether that's a trade show or a career fair or, the county fair. We've been to county fairs. You just never know different events that they host, being a face. And, they may not know who you are, but they know what you do. And they will come to you if they need you. And knowing that has been probably the best aspect of this job and what we do as a TCAT. It's interesting to see how they're like, we don't know this person, but this is what they do and we need their help. And so almost doing a mental needs assessment sometimes is what you got to do to figure out what they need, maybe just by a conversation.
Right.
And relaying it to those students too. And you've got to do a needs assessment on them too to see what they need and what they're looking for. So I think that's kind of how we, I feel like we as TCATs do a really good job of doing is making sure they know wins are in both columns.
Right. And we've talked about the importance of not only that partnership and the communication, but how do we get the word out to other people, right? So they know about you now because you've had that conversation, but there's so many more people out there that don't understand, what the technical colleges offer, but also just the supports available. They think they aren't college material, well, you are, and here's how this can work out for you. These are the supports that we can provide to help you get through. And I'm sure you all have plenty of examples of students there, but I think that's one of the things that we're hopeful, even through this podcast, get word out to folks about, we're here and what you're offering for support and just the life-changing activities that they can undertake, really to further their lives, their families' lives by studying at a college. So thank you so much for sitting down and talking with me briefly today, sharing a little bit about yourselves and what you do. Again, congratulations to you as a finalist. So our podcast listeners should know that we're releasing this after a winner will be announced tomorrow at our award ceremony. So you will know by the time the podcast comes out who the actual winner was from this group. But we're excited to have you here and hope you enjoy the next couple of days' activities.
Thank you.
Thank you
for having me.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening to this edition of From the VC's Bookshelf, brought to you by TBR, the College System of Tennessee, powering the state's economy and changing the lives of thousands of graduates, starting successful careers each year. To learn more about upcoming book selections or to register to attend discussions live, visit tbr.edu/bookshelf.